This is Talking in Stations. It is currently Season 2, Episode 16. Today on the show, I am Artemis Albosa, a member of Pandemic Horde. Joining me as always, we have Ron USMC, a member of Test Alliance Please Ignore.
Hello, fellas.
And we also have Silver Suspiria, a member of Federation Uprising.
Hey everyone, how are you?
No guests with us today. We just have the experience of our fellow co-hosts here and a bunch of stuff to talk about because Eve is super active right now in the middle, or I guess has summer starts in June, right? So it's not summer yet.
And it was just a couple of episodes ago we were talking about man, there needs to be it might have been like 3 or 4 weeks ago. We need a war. We need a summer of heat.
Well, we're hopefully going to get one, at least from the player side of things. We'll see about from the CCP side of things, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. First, we want to jump into some news and talk about the the fire that's been heating up down south. So it's sort of been smoldering for a while, ever since the non-invasion pact between Legacy Coalition and Winter Coalition ended. And it's mostly been sort of a bit of a stalemate as a result of Sinojammer mechanics, but we're starting to see some bigger brawls happening. And Ron, you just ended a fleet in one of those about an hour ago, right? Tell us about that.
Hey, I was there too.
Yeah, Silver was there as well, and it was really funny because I messaged Silver on Discord, hey man, are you in this fleet? He's like, yep. So what you said is exactly true, right? That we tried right after the nip ended, and just hit these Sino jammers and time zone tanking, hitting your head up against the wall, right? So then there was this lull, right, of stagnation, and this is when Legacy all kind of got together, and in command and leadership kind of talked about different ways or whatever, different plans of attack, and over the past, I would say 3 weeks or so, Villy's been ramping it up and applying more pressure, and that started I think in my eyes, it kind of started about a week and a half ago when dropped a Fortizar in our space, and we went and dropped the hammer on it. And then, the next day or 2 days after, we dropped. We had dropped some citadels up in their space, and that was a big fight. We talked about that I think last week, and that was a big, 800 versus 400 thing. And then on legacy side, it's been nothing but structure dropping, just massive amounts of structures. And you know, the thing about time zone tanking, right, is really interesting because it works both ways, right? So you can time zone tank to your appropriate peak hours, but the other person can time zone tank as well. So they can drop structures in your space that are not favorable hours. So they're hard to get, right? I mean, the fight that we just had, Silver was there. I think it was 5 a.m. in mainland China. That's alarm clock, and that sucks. So, we had about 1,000 on each side, and it was. I think all factions were represented. But Silver, so you were there. Which parts of the fight did you see?
No, I was in the Legacy Eagle fleet, so we were sort of playing Overwatch, trying to snipe tackle and stuff, guarding the gates for a while, and then we got into a heavy subcap engagement on one of the gates with the enemy Munins. And you're right, just about every faction was there. And, Munins versus Eagles, right? There was Eagles on the other side. Picture the old colonial fights where you line up soldiers on one side, you're both 200k from each other. Okay, fire! You just volley each other until one gets culled past the point of no return, or the objective is won, right? So we were really guarding online timers. So yeah, it was a really good scrap on the gate there for a couple minutes. A little bit of tie dye, but honestly, I thought the server performed extremely well there during that fight. I mean, I know we didn't get to the point where we had fighters out or anything, but tie dye was okay. It really was.
And I'm gonna say the biggest event for me personally was it was my first big fight with the 64-bit client.
Yeah, it
Full
worked great.
graphics, everything was beautiful, everything was maxed out. And, you know, because our first fight Monday morning, or it was Tuesday morning when the 64-bit client was released, Villy even put in the ping, "Do not update your clients until after the big fight." So I had updated it immediately after that fight, and I've been running 64-bit ever since then, and it's run awesome.
How was
Several
the RAM
people
usage? Did they fix the RAM leak that they had?
seems like it, because I didn't creep above, I don't know, 8 gig maybe. I had 2 clients running, a capital and a subcap.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
didn't
about the
deploy my
same.
capital, but yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, you know, this is 5 stars from me on the 64-bit client so far. There's just a couple of little pieces of wonkiness that I've had, but other than that, it's been absolutely smooth.
And if you want to test out the 64-bit client, it is currently in open beta. It's a new thing that came with the Invasions patch, so definitely go and check that out. There are plenty of tutorials online about how to enable it through the launcher. It's a bit wonky, but you can find it. And if you can't, just hop in the questions channel and Talking Stations Discord, and somebody will sort you out. Alright, so we had that fight, a subcap slugfest over in Detroit, and before that, though, we had a massive brawl between capital fleets, right? Ron, were you on this one as well, or do you just know the story?
All right, so remind me
Or,
which
no, hang
system?
on. Pause, Ron, hang on.
'Cause I've
Silver?
been in like 6.
Silver, were you on this? Were you on this fight? The capital brawl where, like, your guys lost 100 billion carriers or something? No?
No, it wasn't.
Aww.
It was a bit early for my guys there. I was at work when that was happening, so yeah, no, I wasn't there, unfortunately. Lessons
Okay,
learned,
so
mistakes were made. You know, one of those
now I know
things.
which one.
Yeah, you know what you want.
Well, I did. So, I mean, honestly, like I've combat dropped, you know, both my Hell and my Nyx, you know, more than once a day for like the past week. It's been amazing, like fun. So this particular fight, 46 DP, this one really was, you know, just Fraternity just played their cards very, very well, basically, right?
Yep.
You know, and hey, hats off! Like it was a great show. We went in, you know, and before everyone could extract, right? So we were killing a fort and killing it fine, you know, but then with subcaps, and then their subcaps came, so we escalated, killed the fort, but before the carriers could get out, they sinoed in dread bombs and lots of dread bombs, lots and lots of munins. And to be honest, it was just a good job on their show, you know, on their part. So hats off, nice work.
Alright, well, things look to be heating up. I haven't missed Sov changing hands, right? It's just been fights over these citadels so far.
Correct. That's right.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, on the other side of the EVE Online universe, up in the north in Tribute, Sov has been changing hands. So let's talk about that a bit. If we look up in Tribute, it's difficult to see on the Dotland map itself, because in Dotland it shows you who owns the system based on the TCU, right? Which is an appropriate way to show things, but it doesn't show the big picture, because the most important sovereignty structure really is the infrastructure hub. And in Tribute so far, 19 of the Northern Coalition or Pandemic Legion, or I don't think there are any MC iHubs still left, but in any case, 19 iHubs have been destroyed. There are 5 blockers in place, so that means when the Imperium, or pardon me, when Goonswarm Federation or the Initiative killed an iHub in 5 systems, they placed one of their own as well. And so what this means is all of the ADMs are reset, all of the strategic indexes are reset, and also the value of the iHub itself and any of the iHub upgrades. So any of the sovereignty upgrades that increase the spawn rate of anomalies, allow you to use super capital construction, anti-luck jump gates, anything like that, that all goes away. And so that is the major progress that has been made in Tribute so far. I don't think there have been any major Citadel kills. Have you guys seen any Sotios or Keepstars dying, or did all those get pulled down?
Well, I haven't
I
seen any
haven't
kill
seen
though.
any keep stars die, but I've seen some random citadels dying. On I think it was Monday or Tuesday, I was watching the Imperium reinforce OTAC Y. And it's just a constant, going back and forth. But I would say, yeah. So I completely agree. The iHubs are the most important part of the region, but also the regional gates are really important, especially for super capitals, moving them back and forth because you can move them great distances without fuel and without getting jump timers and whatnot. So putting and as you can see by the goons and how they operate, they like to put a keep star on both sides of that regional gate to move their titans around and their supers. So you know, I think we're going to see a chain that goes even longer of all those keep stars, and
So
they're going to have to deal with it, man. They're going to have to deal with it.
Goonswarm currently has a Keepstar up in KQK, which is the system directly adjacent to Otakwai and Tribute. That is a regional gate going into Tribute. Do we think that they're going to try and put up a Keepstar in Otakwai itself, in Tribute itself, in order to have one on each side of that regional gate, as you called out there, Ron? Are you calling your shot?
what, what do you think, Silver? I say yes, but what do you think?
Mm, yes.
All right. Well, the gauntlet has been thrown.
Well, there we
Let's see it
go.
happen.
I don't know.
I do want to hammer home this point on the sovereignty upgrades and the importance of iHubs. We had a bit of a discussion before the show on what the true monetary impact of this is, and there's been a lot of discussion about glassing Tribute, so to speak, where you're putting it into waste and it will take months to rebuild, even though the Imperium has no intention of actually holding the space itself. And the real reason that is true isn't necessarily the structures themselves, because structures go back up, anchoring time is relatively short. Yes, you lose ISK, but we're not really in a scarce economic environment in EVE Online right now. The big deal is the time it takes to grind back up the ADMs, grind back up the indexes, and specifically the sovereignty index. I've got here the EVE Online support page for maintaining your SOV up on stream, and we can see that for a lot of the important sovereignty upgrades, for things like Sino-Jammers and for things like jump gates, you need level 3 or above. And for that to happen, you have to have held SOV for at least 35 days. Now, as I understand it, the sovereignty index is based on the TCU, right? So how long the TCU is up? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, because if the
No,
iHub
the
gets
iHub.
knocked down, yeah, it's the iHub. The TCU is just a flag now, man. It does nothing other than plant your flag there.
Yeah, so it will take at a minimum at least a month before even these structures, which you could anchor very quickly, but they won't be able to be used for at least a month after the sovereignty is reclaimed. And that is the biggest deal, I think, in my opinion. The monetary value, it depends on how big various people's war chests are. It depends on how valuable the space was to begin with, right? There is obviously opportunity cost here. Anytime people aren't crabbing, that's lost ISK, technically speaking. But it's really, I think, in my opinion, the time loss that is going to be the biggest cost of this.
Yeah, you knock out their entire logistical network, right? If you knock out an entire region's Ansoblex network and Beacon network, you can't operate there anymore.
Yeah, and think about who's going to want to move in, to Tribute with a goon keep star right across that regional gate. Like, who's going to want to invest in that area and build that up? I mean, I think it's going to be, like Mad Max. It's going to
Well,
be
look
like
at Fade.
dust and little. Yeah, exactly. Right. Right.
Fade's exactly that. It's a burnt out shell of a region, and no one's doing much.
Well, hang on, let me pull back up Dotland. I could swear that Darkness moved back into Fade. Maybe it was Slice, and then when they left again. Yeah, Darkness has recaptured the majority of Fade now. There are still other systems belonging to, I guess Ranger Regiment is also part of GOTG, or pardon me, Dead Coalition. You've got one system held by Goonswarm Federation. I wonder if they have a keep star in there since it is a regional gate.
No, just the 6RC.
Oh, right on. So Fade could be on the up and up, so to speak.
Maybe, but I see a lot of these guys crabbing way far north. Like I'm not sure that these systems are really being utilized, or they're just placeholders that they plan to rent at some point, maybe. But I don't think
It's
they're
also
really relying on it.
worth noting that they have the flags, but they don't have the iHubs. I don't know who is Gemini Whale United. They have the iHubs in like all of Fade, but who are these guys?
No
Probably a
idea.
Holder Corp.
Yeah, holder
Something, I
for
don't know.
something.
I
That's
mean,
why
they've
I
got
don't think
500
they're-
members.
No idea.
All right, well, that is a question to look into in the future.
Are the
However,
coding-
one
can you see
question.
NPC kills on there on the Dotland statistics.
I'll pull them up on Zkill. But let's talk real quick while I'm searching that. One question that we had was, where is the focus going to be for the rest of PanFam, right? So we knew that they weren't going to be focusing on a defending tribute as staunchly as, say, Winterco has been defending Detroit. But were they going to, as many people thought, deploy down to Delve for a counteroffensive, so to speak? We saw a lot of crabbing going on. We saw some Sov actually change hands, and the first Titan to die in Delve since, like, the Imperium moved down there. How long ago was that? Almost 2 years now? I can't even remember. But that happened, and kills started racking up. But now we've seen that Pandemic Horde has deployed to SH1 with their subcapitals, and this is all of Pandemic Horde, not just partisans. There was a bit of confusion. Some people were like beating war drums or sending out propaganda saying, oh, Horde deployed down to Delve and it only lasted a week. Horde didn't deploy down to Delve. Like, there were some SIGs, to use a common terminology, that deployed down to Delve, and then they moved back. Now that all of Horde Inc., the corporation, is deploying up to SH1, just to clear up that. But that's the state of play now. It looks like resistance may
okay.
be heating up in the north. Go ahead. What's up, Rob?
Don't gloss over that. Don't gloss over that, because that's you're just kind of hopping over. That's a huge point, man. That's amazing, because
What point in particular are you
with
discussing?
Pandemic Horde moving over to SH1. I mean, they are basically, kind of drawing a line right there, on that map. Like, hey, we're going to go here. We're going to protect our allies. And, a lot of the kind of herf derf is, oh, no one wants to fight, blah, blah, blah. Pandemic Horde is up for the challenge, and they're pushing forward. They're getting down. And I just flew through there a little while ago after I heard about the deployment, and I think that's amazing. Like, that's going to be great for them. A lot of fun.
Is it though? Because I flew through there too, and there isn't a whole lot of Imperium presence. Like, so what's the goal here? They're hoping to yank them home. They're hoping to yank at least some of them home, so that we can have a split front. That might work, right? If you make some of them come home and defend some Sov, or some of them to come home and defend structures, is that the aim here?
If we're talking
Well,
about the deployment into
go ahead.
Tribute, as I understand it, it's explicitly like to flash form. So death clones are set, at least from Pandemic Horde side of things. Death clones are set in HH1. And the goal is like, if, because the Imperium has been vocal that they are letting less experienced FCs get their practice. The Imperium has been vocal that they are letting less experienced FCs practice, like running capital fleets, running various ops in this thing. This is a training mission for them, so to speak. So the way it has been billed to Pandemic Horde, at least, is we're up here and we're going to flash form if we see good opportunities to dunk an Imperium fleet. Like, the majority of the space, all the assets have been pulled. It's sort of like, it's going to be lost. So just strike when you think you have a good opportunity to win, is the way I understand.
Yeah, I think that could work. Absolutely.
That's how I see it. Yeah. They're just moving closer to the front line, and they're just going to look for opportunities to constantly hit those, fleets that are hitting tribute and all that. And I think it's great. I think it's a great move, on the side of Pandemic Horde, because it stops from having to go, hey, guys, there's a possible fight 37 jumps away to there's a possible fight 12 jumps away, that kind of thing. I think it's great. And, nothing like good fights, right?
Absolutely. You're right, Ron. That's a very good point. It's very hard to get you guys to form up, fly 30 jumps for maybe a fight, and then it not happen, have to fly all the way home. Much closer you can make that fly, right? You're like,
Well, I
well,
mean,
it didn't pan out this time.
with the 30 jumps things, like the Anzablex Gate network changed that. So I've been on multiple fleets where the fight happened in Tribute, and we formed up in BWF and Geminate. Which, looking at the Sov map, Geminate, you have to go all the way through Veil of the Silent before you get to Tribute. So that's an entire region you have to traverse, plus whatever systems on either side in Tribute and Geminate itself. But because of Anzablex jump networks, that shortens 30 jumps down to like 8. So you take a jump, go through an Anzablex gate, take another regular gate, go through an Anzablex gate, rinse and repeat for 8 jumps, and boom, you're there. But it is still significantly faster, right? Because that would still take 10 to 15 minutes, and that's 10 to 15 minutes where hostiles know you have formed, they know what doctrine you're in, and they can respond accordingly.
I
Yep,
love
exactly.
Anzablex Gates, man. One of the best things CCP ever did.
All right, well, before we hop into discussing the invasion content and the stuff that Ron has been up to, I did go ahead and Z-kill the alliance that owns all the iHubs in Fade, and apparently they just, like, lose stuff. So that's the thing. Our question has been answered.
Well, and Mr. Percy in chat said that they're renters from Ranger Regiment, and that's possible. I don't know either way, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what
Kill
I
board
figured
looks
they
a
were going to
little.
use that space for, right?
Letting your renters hold the iHub itself. That is an interesting... Usually in renter schemes, we see the rental organization hold the iHub, and if like an alliance moves in and they want to have an identity, you let them hold the TCU because it's less valuable. I'm surprised that you're letting a renter organization hold the iHub itself. I guess we'll find out if anybody goes and attacks it how that'll work out, but it's interesting. Let's talk about some more interesting stuff, well, or less interesting, depending on your point of view. It is PvE related. Let's talk about the new invasion content. Ron, what's your experience with it? You
Yeah,
streamed for
I
a
gotta
few
get a
hours.
phone call. We're gonna talk about high-sec stuff. Yeah, just give me a few minutes. Hold on. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, don't even
No,
play.
I'm
You
just
spent the
kidding. I'm
whole
kidding. I'm
stream
kidding.
in high-sec.
No, honestly, like I think from CCP's side, like the invasion has been fantastic, right? I think the artwork, the invasion, not incursion, right? Like there's a very distinct difference. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff. The loyalty point, the dead loyalty point store. I really enjoy the mechanics. And the AI around the rats and the NPCs is stellar, like just stellar. I love that they're taking random, spaces in high sec and just like making them dangerous. Like you see a random freighter like going through here, and rats actually tackle on the gate. So I think everything about it, and the mystery around it. I think it's just great. I think it's wonderful, but as in with any new content, the worst part about it is, the players, right? The players are just trying to, been having a rough time with that. But
It
other than
sounds like
that,
you're
it's been
it sounds like
fantastic.
you're throwing some shade at your fleet mates you had on your stream.
Oh, oh no, no, not the fleet mates. Like, see, that's the thing, right? So, I brought up, an A team from a test, and we were absolutely crushing it, right? But the problem is the rewards are so light. It's not much payout, and there's no loyalty points yet. I mean, maybe there will be in the future, but it's a lot of investment. It's a lot of uh, getting involved. And the problem is, so since they are in high sec, right? And there's the suspect mechanics, so they can go around. So random people can go around and salvage stuff while you're fighting, and not get a suspect flag, right? So they just zoom in. I mean, I usually would call it like minnowing, when people would like zoom to a random wreck and get the loot from it. So, but it's like minnowing, and so that's so all the salvage is constantly being zapped by random people. But then also, if you find the named boss, right? And we found him a few times, but Only once did we actually get to loot it, and that's because there was no one else in the system. Because we were doing the foothold systems, the hardest systems, and what they would do is the named rat would be there, and you would be killing that rat, and two people, right, would zoom in and sit at 0 on the rat, and as soon as the rat died, the one would loot the rat and then get a suspect flag, right? Well, we're ready for that kind of stuff, so we just point them and we kill them. But the thing is, now his wreck, right, from his now his buddy who's in a fleet with him can loot his wreck, and he doesn't have a suspect flag, and then he just warps off, right? Or if you try to kill him, then you're going to get killed. You get concorded, right? So
Plastic, yeah.
that's the only sucky part, man.
That does suck. And we've seen that sort of behavior with other events too in high sec. People do that all the time. So you really want to try and find a system that's empty so you get your reward, but then that's counterproductive because CCP wants people to be interactive. There's a flaw, I think, but I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, and CCP is definitely directing people toward these events. I think from CCP's perspective, they'd want more people taking part than fewer. Like, there's supposed to be something like 3 invasions happening at once, I think, right now, because it seems to be a bit buggy on launch. There seem to be a few issues that CCP is trying to work out, so there's only 1 up right now, if I understand correctly. And CCP is sort of actively pushing people to that with the new updated agency that came out with the Eve Invasions patch. Have you guys taken a look at that?
I love that. I mean, I think it's great. I think it's beautiful. It's I think when you go 2 or 3 levels deep, it looks like they've kind of ported some of the old stuff in. But one of the things that I thought was amazing is the changes around the planetary interaction interface. And the reason I thought that was great is because you can see, what types of planets or how many jumps out. Like, let me see all the lava planets or whatever. And that, you'd have to go to like eveplanets.com or use one of these other sites to help you build, your little planetary colonies. And I think the PI and all this stuff, helping that, I think that's great because, and it's hard enough as it is, right? But it's very there's a that's a vast I guess dichotomy, right, with the reactions of people towards the exploration, which I don't really have much of an opinion on. I haven't really messed with it much.
Yes, I think that part's the best part about the new agency thing.
Let's
Because
be more explicit. What are we talking about here?
the exploration part, where the exploration tab, if you go up from where you were there, um, there's a section where you could see all anomalies and things that are around you, which I think is great because Eve is so immersive and deep sometimes that you don't realize that right next door might be something cool to do, right? So anything that like condenses the universe down, shows you what's available to you right where you are, or a few jumps away from you, is fantastic. You introduce people to new things all the time. Oh, there's a combat anomaly next door. Oh, let me go check that out. I might like that. Oh no, I hated that. Maybe the agency and its current development trajectory here is great. Shrink the universe down, show people all the things that are around them, get them interested in trying a bunch of them. Because when you're a new bro, you miss a lot of this stuff. If you're flying through space, you may not even know there's a combat anomaly there, right? Because there's no way to see it unless you're specifically looking for it in a specific window, right? So have all this stuff in one place where you can be like, what is that? Is great.
I understand the argument that people have about how they're disappointed specifically with the cosmic signature change. So with this change, any and all cosmic signatures in space, they can be seen through the agency. So you can know exactly where every single cosmic signature is in New Eden. And it very much changes the game of exploration. Because exploration is no longer the next jump over could have 5 SIGs. It is, I know how many SIGs are in the next jump over, and each SIG is just sort of like, it's like a loot box, really. It's like, it's no longer you're exploring New Eden, you're checking through every nook and cranny, breaking through gate camps. It's more of now you can set a route because you know where all the SIGs are. You can use gate camp checker and Z-kill to make sure that there are nobody camping those gates. And then it's just a loot box of whether you're going to get something good out of the SIG or something bad out of the SIG. That I think we lose some value there, but we'll have to see really. I guess only CCP will have the numbers on how much people are enjoying the new exploration content.
Man, like I agree with you, and I agree that the old school players like that the game is hard and stuff, but we need more hooks, man. We need more hooks. You got to make it somewhat easy for people to get into this stuff, so that they stay. I mean, I think we need to focus on PvE because people are shy of PvP. Most people who play games join a game and they want to be left alone for a while until they get the hang of things, so they can see stuff, and then you lure them into PvP. The game just needs to be a little bit softer, not a lot softer, but a little bit.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's talk about some more changes that are taking place with the Invasions patch. We hit the.
So you
Oh,
might
go ahead.
cut out, but I have one quick point, buddy. And like they were talking about chat, so I don't want to paint high sec as the only loot thieves because we have loot thievery in null sec as well, and the faction titan BPCs, right, are stolen by one guy. Or most of them are stolen by one guy, and he just goes around stealing these every time those Sodio spawns. And he just stole another one the other day, and he brags about it or whatever. But he says he has like a 92% success rate in stealing these faction titan blueprints. So there, I think that needs a change as well. Like it's ridiculous that one person can just go around. Like imagine playing any other
Hang on,
game,
hang on,
right?
hang on.
Any other game. Go ahead.
It's ridiculous that people haven't figured out how to stop him yet. Like, guys, come on now. This dude's been doing it. He's been doing it exactly the same way. You're telling me there is zero ability for players to interact with this dude and stop him from doing his thing? Like, you're in nullsec, bubbles are a thing, insta-locking is a thing, you know exactly where he's going to be and when he's going to be there because you control when the structure dies. I feel like all the tools are in the player's hands to stop him, it's just people are being lazy. But maybe I'm wrong, because I've never done it before.
Well, I'll tell you what, I will give you 300 billion reasons to do it. That's like how much you make, 300 billion if you steal that thing. And that's, there's some sort of trickery, I'm sure it's not like against the EULA or whatever. And they changed it. Remember back in the day, you could steal them with an interceptor and people were stealing them really too easily. So now it's like a blockade runner. But people are still able to steal them. Like, well, one guy can steal 92% of them. And, it's like, if what if you played any other game, right? And then like like with 30 other people and you go through some raid, and then right as you reach for whatever, some golden sword or something, some guy comes in and says, idiot, and then just leaves. Like, wait, what? Like, so I don't know. I think it should be a freighter. That's just me though. I think it should be a freighter required to pick up that blueprint, and then we'll see what happens.
My bombing fleet would love to come in and gank your freighter with the
Freighter
300
or
billionist BPC.
would like a cargo expanded Roracle be enough for you?
See, I love that though. So you're thinking exactly like Eve, right? Like all play deserves a counterplay. So that's great. Freighters haul a lot, but they can be bombed to hell and back. So I love that, that mechanics of how they go back and forth.
Indeed. All right, are we good to hop into these patch notes now? We got to dig. Awesome. So we hit the two big ticket items, right? We hit the invasion content, right? The new incursions with Triglavians, and then we hit the agency 3.0. But there are some other interesting changes which have happened, including the new ships, which we've talked about at length. So we're going to skip those over a little bit. But we also had some balance passes coming into the existing Triglavian ships. So Damavik had its bonus changed. It replaced the optimal range bonus with an armor resistance bonus. Now it's worth noting the Damavik in its current iteration has 3 low slots, 3 mid slots, and 3 high slots if I recall correctly? It's a 3-3-3. So it's got an armor resistance bonus with only 3 lows. It'll be interesting to see how people take advantage of that. It does get an increase to its power grid, so it can either better utilize those utility high slots or fit a larger plate to buff its armor tank. We'll have to see. Any thoughts on this? You guys use the Demovic very often? I'm guessing the answer is no.
No. The problem with the Demovic is the ramp doesn't work in frigates. It takes too long. The frigate will die too fast. So like if you're a solo guy or a small gang guy, the Demovic with only 3 loads is pretty squishy. And in my experience, these armor resistance bonus stuff on ships, it's not going to be enough, I don't think.
I saw
Fair
needs a
enough.
Joe
low slot.
Bain, the streamer, right? Like, and he's been on the show a couple of times. I saw him last night fit up um, one of the Damovic, and I mean the fit looked great. And I saw him roaming around, but I had to go to bed. But so I'm sure there's some kills out there or something.
Fair enough. We also saw the Kikimora, something which people have been crying for nerfs to basically since it was introduced. It lost its drone bay and bandwidth, which is a nice change, but its guns still track extremely well, so we'll see if that change is meaningful, or has the effect which many players hope it will. And then we also saw its power grid reduced from 58 down to 55, a minor hit to its fitting room. We'll see if this brings it more into line. I suspect it won't, especially if you're talking like the way they've been used in whaling fleets or the way they're currently used in like Kaidi shield fit nano type stuff. I don't think this impacts that very much, but we'll have to see.
See, I like this because I'm one of those guys that doesn't have any problem with the Kikibora. I mean, it's
What?
strong, but it should be strong. Yeah, I love the Kikimora the way it is. Like people are complaining that it projects too much, it attracts too much. The tracking's not an issue. Every destroyer tracks well. That's its job. Its job is to kill frigates, right? The range is a little bit of a problem. Speed might have been too much, but I really thought it was okay. I'm okay with cutting back the drone bandwidth. I think it doesn't need drones at all. You could take away the whole drone bay.
It
And
has been, yeah. The entire drone bay is gone.
Good. You don't need that. And no one even used them anyway. Like if you look, half the time people forget to even have drones, right? Even my guy was saying the other day, he's like, "Shit, I half the time forget to deploy my drones." And the power grid hit is good because it takes away it makes you compromise between utilizing that utility high and putting more tank in the boat. So there's a balance there. Like one of the popular fits now, you can't fit the newt. So there's a balance there. I think it's in a good spot. I really do.
All right, some other changes we saw. Something, go ahead, Ron, you had something? I heard.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the tracking on the Kiki was just like insane. Like within like a 40-kilometer bubble around the Kiki, like small things just could not exist. So, it was just either kite it or die if you're a little small thing. So I think I like these little changes, and always whenever I see like a 58 to 55 power grid change, there's like some specific fit that they want to get rid of, and they just knock a couple of power grid down. So, uh, you know, I'll see what the pros think about it, but I think I love all the Triggs ships, and I'm glad that maybe they're a little overpowered when they're introduced, but that's okay. It helps with adoption. It helps people actually experimenting and wanting to play around with them. Like when's the last time you like fit a thorax? But no, like how many fits do people have of Kikis? Like 20? Like I love this stuff. Just you can keep iterating and bringing it down in line, and that's all good. So yeah, right on, man.
And fits are going to be getting even more interesting because new options have been opened up with the addition of Tech 2 ammo being able to be used by faction, storyline, and officer weapons. So this was a big thing, most notably in the past for like lasers, where you couldn't use Scorch for pulse lasers, etc. Well, now that is no longer the case. So in your faction, storyline, and officer weapons, you can use Tech 2 ammo. You can get the benefit from Occult. I think that's the close range T2 ammo on the Kikimora if you use the faction small weapon system there. So that will give you some extra fitting room. That I think most of the faction stuff also has better tracking, a bit different in the application department, but it definitely opens up some room for activities, so to speak, and definitely a lot of room for different variation in fits. I'm very happy for this change. It's something I've been wanting for a while, and I'm excited to see what people do with it.
Two quick things. The first is it still requires the skills. You still need like and as an example, when I was running the Leshak, I can use the story or the faction Leshak disintegrator, but I still required, you know, 5 and then 1 in the specialization. So it still requires the skills, and then the only bad thing is that it doesn't use the specialization skill bonuses on the faction with the T2 ammo.
Yeah, so you are going to be seeing less damage in total out of the faction guns, no matter what you do, even though you can use the T2 ammo. So if you want the highest damage possible, you're still better off with T2, but if you value application, or maybe the extra fitting space that you gain from faction, storyline, or officer, then you may be better off with those. Although that said, I'm betting with officer weapons you're going to be better off than T2. Just a hunt. Alright, some other changes. We had Mystic got its tracking reduced, so that's pretty nice. Apparently it was rather oppressive. Something which I am happy about, and I'm also very sad about, is the change to ECM drones. So ECM drones had their jam duration effect reduced to 5 seconds. Now, I was previously corrected on a show that this is not their overall cycle time, this is just the jam duration. So the cycle time on them is 20 seconds, which means that every 20 seconds, the jam drone has the opportunity to jam you. And if it does jam you, it will then jam you for 5 seconds. You will be unjammed for 15 seconds, and then there is another opportunity to be jammed. So this is a massive nerf to ECM drones for consistent jamming. But for the purposes that most people use them, or that they were most hated for, which is you're trying to kill somebody and you're a solo PvPer, they pop out ECM drones, jam you once, and warp away, that's still a thing. It doesn't change anything.
Yeah, it's the Houdini's escape tactic, and less oppressive in a combat situation. I think it's great.
We also see that some drop rates have been changed, some graphics have been adjusted, some things that I'm super hyped for. We have new damage control and assault damage control mutoplasmids. I was talking to some dudes, and apparently, like, because faction damage controls are so expensive, in almost every case, you're better off just abyssal rolling a T2 damage control than you are buying a faction one, as soon as like the prices settle down on those mutoplasmids. So that'll certainly be interesting, especially on assault damage controls, seeing how those things roll, what attributes they affect, etc., etc. And then also we have unstable mutoplasmids, so only the highest tier mutoplasmids are available for ancillary boosters of all types, small, medium, and large, not capital, but for both shield and armor. I am super hyped for this. I think this is an amazing change.
Wait, does it say, Chad is saying on the damage controls that it's only on the hull resist that you can get a bonus, not the
Yeah.
shield and armor resist?
That
That's
is my
interesting.
understanding as well.
Yeah,
Unless
'cause
something changed.
No, yeah, that's yeah, and then also CPU and ADCU duration or something. But yeah, and then that was to qualm the fears of we're burning down the town and they can get a god rolled, you know, and just be some insane, you know, whatever cruiser or whatever. So yeah, it was only the hull, but you know, I think it's good stuff, you know.
Yeah, no.
I mean, Hull Tank Brutix Navy issues are going to be happy.
I was gonna say, what about the hull tank ships, man? Well, no, you can't do a Brutix Navy issue, right? Well, in a regular damage control. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool.
All right, and we'll see how people utilize the mutoplasmids on these Ansel boosters. They were a limited time thing with the, what was that abyssal event that we had, the temporary one with the lightning skins? Does anybody remember? Into the Abyss. The Into the Abyss expansion had some sort of temporary thing where these guys dropped, and they were incredibly valuable. I think they were incredibly useful as well, but then they sort of went away. Stockpiles drained away, and now they're back and attainable. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited to use them in the future. We also had various changes to data cores. There are new data cores and new components, basically new everything to bring Triglavian construction more into line with the T2 construction of other races. So if you're one of the industry guys, I'd say take a closer look at this information right here because it's going to affect you. We've talked about previously the the 3 new Tech 2 Triglavian ships that are coming in, but we have their full stats here in front of us. The Nurgle everybody thinks is going to be fantastic, even though it is a frigate. It's tanky enough because it's T2 resist profile on the ADC that it can actually take advantage of that spooled up damage. Plus it has drones. It's supposed to be a beast. We'll have to see who whips it out first and does some real damage with it.
Yeah, it looks good. It has some potential, sure.
I saw a couple out in the wild last night, not out flying, but in people's hangars. But yeah, they'd already start to hit the market.
Right on. We've also got the shoot. Where is CCP Burger when you need him to pronounce these things? Ikutser. This word.
Icky Tursa.
Iki Tursa. We have an Iki Tursa, which is the cruiser, and that is going to the heavy assault cruiser. Pardon me. What was that?
Kikis and Ikis.
Oh, I see.
Apollo 428 coming in, 5 gifted subs, dude. You are awesome, man. We thank you so much for that, dude. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. And congratulations to whoever just got those gifted subs. Enjoy that. If you're on our Discord, we should have a bot automatically get you a special color so you can be all nice and purple. You can enjoy that. But the heavy assault cruiser, CCP and the Eve Pulse video that came out, CCP was like, this thing should be meta changing. So I'm wondering if CCP knows something that we don't, because from what I heard, people were pretty disappointed with the hack, at least compared to the Dracovic.
What? Why?
Because the damage spool up takes so long, like the amount of damage that you do, not talking DPS, but the amount of damage that has been done over time, it takes 5 minutes or something crazy like that before the Iki Tursa does the same damage that a Dracovic would have done. So yeah, it's tankier, but it's slower on getting the damage there.
Yeah, but at full ramp up, you got a cruiser that does what, like 2k DPS or something.
Yeah, it will
so
get
like
it will get pretty
whaler
nice.
might be pretty good. But yeah, I'm actually glad about that because I like the Drekivic's role, and I did not want the hack to take the Drek's role. So yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to see how it plays out.
By the Drex role, you mean just being better than everything? Because I mean, it's a nano ship, it's an armor brawler, it applies well to small stuff, it ganks capital ships, like.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, fair enough.
It's like the best. What's the best hauler in Eve? The Rorqual. What's the best miner? The Rorqual. What's the best tackle? The Rorqual. Well, see, a Rorqual and a Drake, right? Then you're all set. That's all you need.
You don't need anything else in Eve. Yeah, there you go. And you can even no, the Rorqual ship maintenance bay only holds mining ships, so you can't carry it along with you in your Rorqual. But well, CCP please. Let's talk about the new command destroyer though, real quick, before we move on, before we get too far down that rabbit hole. The Dragger is the new Triglavian command destroyer. It's interesting to note that it gets bonuses to skirm and info links, which is unique among all of the link ships in Eve. It is the only Lynx ship to get bonus to those two in particular, which is pretty cool. And then it's also just a command destroyer that is also like a Kikimora. So it's a Kikimora with T2 links, or pardon me, with T2 resists and a boost module, plus links.
3 mids, though, right?
Oh, yeah, fair point. It does have 3 mid slots, so you gain some extra utility there. It'll be interesting stuff. I can't.
Baller, man. It's pretty baller. Like both of those links are really powerful in small gang, and I mean, I think it's it's a baller little ship, man.
Yeah, Kikis and Draggers. That's what I'm seeing as a composition. Kiki, Dragger, or Deacon.
You'd have to have a third link ship or a second link ship in there because the Dragger doesn't get armor bonus or shield bonus to your links. So like I could imagine, because the current use for Kikimoras in like whaling fleets is you have them with shield tank version, AB shield tank. So you need a shield version, or pardon me, a shield link for that. And if you're talking like a retry fleet, like armor, assault damage control, etc., then yeah, you need also a Pontifex or a Magus, probably a Pontifex. In any case, It's fun to talk about that, but we have so much other stuff to talk about that came in this invasion patch. It is really genuinely a massive expansion, because we also got what is possibly the largest change to war decks in EVE history since the massive rebalance that we had, and that is that in order to declare a war, you now have to declare a war headquarters. And that will be the war headquarters for the war. It's declared by the attacker. The attacker must own this citadel in high-sec. It must be in high-sec space. And as long as that citadel is up, they can declare war. If that citadel goes down for any reason, be it unanchored or perhaps the defenders kill it or hire someone to kill it for them, then the war will enter its 24-hour cooldown period and end. And if it ends because of the removal of HQ, then the attacking organization cannot declare new wars against the defender for 2 weeks. This is a massive change expected to, or was touted to change a lot of things in the high-sec war deck scene. We had some high-sec war deck folks on the show previously. They said that they are making many a change in order to be able to deal with this, and hopefully it won't affect their gameplay too much. But only time will tell what actually will happen.
Did you say you hope it doesn't change their gameplay too much?
The war deckers themselves hoped
This-
it wouldn't change their gameplay too much.
Oh, yeah, they hope that. Okay, good. Yeah, because I hope it changed their gameplay significantly, and it did, and I think that's amazing. And I was so happy the first day, that the war deck, or the first day of the patch. It was about a half an hour into the patch, and bing, get the little alert. New war declared, and right underneath, right, is the headquarters. And I'm like, oh, well, good morning, sir. I think we shall be hitting you in 24 and a half hours.
Nice. Some other miscellaneous war deck stuff that happened is the war cost simplification. So all war decks now just cost 100 mil per week, period, end of story. And then Mutual Wars had some quality of life stuff. There's also some people are complaining about the icon, the UI element, which notifies you when you're at war. It's up in the top left-hand corner of your screen. It's big. It's like orangish red. It's where like your drugs or your session change chambers or your suspect timers would go. People are unhappy about that in some situations. I don't know how I feel about it. Do you guys have any strong opinions either way?
I do, but what do you think, Silver?
No, go ahead. I don't really have any strong opinion about that.
I love it. So because this is what I do, user experience, right? And I don't know if that should be like the final thing, but I love that it's a step of notifying you of danger, because it's, this icon isn't for us, right? Like this is for someone who's been away for 2 months or something, and they log in. So I don't know if it should stay there, that little spot in the top left. Maybe it's on your character info panel or something, and it's like next to your corp logo, and like you're at war kind of thing. But I love I love the risk and the kind of danger there is in high sec. I'm always like, as long as they know the risk, then do it, right? That it makes it even more fun. But it's no fun to undock and go 2 jumps and just get wiped out by some 12-man gang sitting on a gate that you'll never be able to kill. And then you have no idea why or what the, retaliation is or anything. So I love it. It's a great first step. It's some sort of notification that you are at war. I don't know if that should be the final place, but I love the direction it's going.
Fair enough. So some other changes that we are seeing in this particular patch is we are seeing some updates to the UI. In particular, one thing which some people have complained about, I honestly don't think it's a big deal, is that you're no longer automatically given rookie ships. You have to press a button to get them. I'm happy about this because it means I don't have my personal assets like full of random noob ships everywhere that auto-generate whenever I dock in a pod in a station. So I think this is a good quality of life change. Some people disagree. I don't know. I feel like
Dude.
they're overblowing the situation.
Yeah, they are. Come on, most EVE players have severe ADD, right? And you look at your assets window and you have like 50 stations, and you click in it, and it's a fucking rookie ship, and you're like, oh god damn it! Like, come on, man, you don't need to have it instantly spawn. Just click the button if you want it. Don't give it to me if I don't want it.
It's as simple as that. Speaking of buttons, the undock button has changed, as have all of the other sort of
Gross.
station buttons. It's gross. You don't like it? You don't like the new button?
No, it's kludgy to me. It looked cleaner the other way.
How about our UI expert, Ron USMC? What say you?
I don't. I think it's you know, it's a little bit easier to tell the difference in the buttons. I think, you know, it was always a little weird with the like look outside was left, undock was right, and then take control was middle. Like I didn't know the kind of weird association with that. But I don't know. I don't know if it needs to be like some big square. Like, you know,
Yeah, I mean, they
I mean,
could have
it's like
made it look a
sci-fi
little
or something. Like,
prettier.
yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah, like
this is
you know, it doesn't have to be
why is
an
it so
apply
basic?
button for a legal
Yeah,
document.
exactly. It's spreadsheets online again. Like, dude, make it pretty. Why is it like that?
Dude, make it pretty. All right. Well, in other news, we had some changes to other miscellaneous stuff. Apparently, hangers have been changed somehow. That doesn't affect me at all. The redeem queue notification has changed. Some stuff that a lot of this stuff does not affect me. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like a lot of these quality of life, and this is something that I'm super happy about actually. The fact that I can read through patch notes, and half of the stuff in these patch notes don't affect me as a null block Eve player makes me happy, makes me genuinely happy, because it means that CCP is not just paying attention to the vocal minority in this game, they're paying attention to everybody else who has to play this game all the time. Now, if you're a wormholer, you may say, but they don't pay attention to us enough, but they are paying attention a little bit, and a little bit is better than not at all, in my opinion. So I'm happy that I don't actually care about most of these changes.
I concur. That's good to see. It's always like that, though. Most patch notes have a good amount of it where I'm like, yeah, I don't ever do that. You know?
I saw the top line in that kind of bottom paragraph was changed to Wolf Rayet C2 wormholes. So I guess both people that have used those last year are going to be happy about that.
Jesus Christ.
Like,
Dude,
both of them.
the Kikimora is going to be nuts in Wolf Rayet wormholes now. Now that the bonus actually applies. Apparently it only was the case in C2 wormholes, but C2 Wolf Rayets are fairly popular for like smaller wormhole corporations when you're first starting out. So it's gonna be pretty nuts.
Cool.
All right.
Can't wait to hear from either of them.
Jesus.
Ron, you know, back in the day, I used to live out of a mobile depot in a C13 wormhole in a confessor. How does that make you feel?
The Artemis and
Do you even know what those
I
words
like
mean?
you, Artemis.
I don't think you should
I
have
like
told
you.
that.
And so I'm just going to ignore that. I'm going to erase that from my memory. We're going to go back 30 seconds. Continue with the next segment, sir.
Well, guess what? The next segment is all the rest of these patch notes are stuff that I don't think we have anything to talk about. So let's jump into shoutouts. My shoutout goes to Ron for forgiving my wormholing past. Ron, how about you? You got a shoutout for us?
You know, I would say that my shout out is for CCP. I got a couple. CCP Dopamine. He put together. He worked with Streamfleet, and he put together that 48-hour thing. That's going on right now. A lot of fun, giving away tons of free skins. Like, you know, I gave away skins, but you know, when you get CCP skins, it's like these really random old skins, you know, that you haven't seen in a long time. I loved it. Everyone had a lot of fun. So CCP Dopamine, a lot of great stuff, and Streamfleet as always, they did great work. So that, and then I would say my other shout out was to Maverick Jeffrey, Alliance exec from Winterco. He came on the show last week, and I've talked to him for hours. He came and talked to me on stream for a while. Super nice guy. He just joined Winterco. They're having a great time, and you know, I love that kind of stuff, right? Like we can fight and tooth and nail in game, but out of game, it's all good, man. We're just talking about Eve, and it's all fun. So there's my 2 shout outs.
How about you, Sylvia?
Just a fed up. We're going through some change now, but it's a good change. We're gonna head into a more solidified direction as an alliance, and make some new friends, and really get things going the way we need to have them going. So thanks to everybody at Fed Up for making that happen.
I think we would get a lot of flack if we didn't mention the fact that a very storied corporation, Aderon Robotics, is leaving Federation Uprising. They're going back into LowSec. That's a thing. There's been a lot of herf blurf about it. But do you have any strong feelings about that?
No, it's just to be clear, we are a faction warfare alliance that came from faction warfare. We were a self-holding alliance for most of that time of our existence. We've been a little over 2 years. Most of that time we've been self-holding, but we were doing that in Cloud Ring and in Pure Blind, one jump from the war zone. So it was a little bit more easy for those guys who love faction warfare and low sec to stomach that being so close. Now that we're in deep nullsec and nowhere near any war zone, there's a percentage of our player base that misses that gameplay and would like to go back to it. So they're going back to it in the form of Aderon Robotics. Storied Corp Infection Warfare has been their thing forever and a day. So I don't blame them at all. I miss it myself. I hope they go and have fun and find the content that they want. Many of those people are staying with Fed Up in other corps. So this is a split that needed to happen for Fed Up. We have to realize that we are a nullsec alliance now. We are going to be leaving militia, and we're going to be focusing on our new spot and our new home. And we wish Aderon the best. We're going to still be friends. We'll still fly together. We'll do all that good stuff together. It's not a big deal. The Reddit crap is fake. Don't be misinformed. This is a natural thing for an alliance to go through.
I read the points, that they listed out, and I was like, yeah, actually, sometimes this stuff does suck, like when you're the part of something bigger, and let's say us 3, hey guys, in an hour, man, let's all go run some abyssals or whatever. And then 45 minutes later, no, CTA now. Oh, all right. Well, I guess we're not running abyssals. But some people don't want to play like that. And I completely understand. And they want to do their own thing and they want to have their own time. I completely understand that. And I wish them all the best. I mean, I don't know them personally or anything, but the people who want to play like that and don't want to play in a big alliance or no sec blocks, do your thing, man. Do it. It's all good.
Yeah. And to
Fan-
CJ, the point about what wasn't being enforced. We're a big group, man. We're a group from all over the place. Sometimes you get spats in Discord. It happens in every alliance. Some people are uncomfortable with it. They're welcome to find a community that they love and want. And maybe for them, a smaller community is better. A bigger community is a little bit rougher. You get more grinding going on. So let them go and do their thing, man. It's fine. It's really okay.
Cool. All right, well, that'll do it for this week's episode, or pardon me, this Thursday's episode of Talking in Stations. We'll have a new episode recording this Sunday at 1600 Eve time. You can make sure to check that out. And of course, we will be back next week at twitch.tv/Talking in Stations or talkinginstations.com or whatever your podcasting app happens to be if you're interested in more shows. That'll do it. Make sure you join our Discord, by the way. You can find it at our website, talkinginstations.com, especially those of you who were gifted subs by Apollo. That's very nice of him. You guys can go enjoy your new colored name tags. Laugh at all of the white people. That sounds super racist. To be clear, if people don't have roles in Discord, their names are white. Just laying that up.
And Artemis is
yeah.
Good morning, sir.
All right, we're going to end the show before I say anything else stupid. Thanks, guys.